right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this revised special meeting, actually, of the North Brantford Conservation and Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency to order. Again, this meeting on Wednesday, January 20th, 2021, at approximately 6:37 p.m. First thing I'd like to do is just a roll call on everyone here this evening. So it looks like the regular members Frank Regano, Ashley Joyner, Jerry Fishback, and seated here with me, and all, we have town engineer Kurt Weiss. We have, excuse me, town planner Gary Vitez, and wetland administrator. Also see Michelle Hogg, the recording secretary, and I'm Steve Scow. I'll be acting as chairman for this evening's meeting. So the next item would be number 3 minutes of the meeting from December 9th, 2020. Does anyone have any modifications or revisions or comments? Or a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of I guess it was December 9th?
Yes.
Correct.
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay, do a second.
I'll second. Branford.
Whichever. Michelle, whoever you heard first.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, those minutes are accepted. Next we'll move on to item 4 under old business, which would be first be item A, IWWA 2020-11 site plan after the fact for work completed within 100 feet of wetlands, including stockpiling of stumps, mulch, vehicles, trash, and debris, etc. at 1071 Middletown Avenue. Owner LJC Realty LLC, applicant Joe Maneri. Application received October 28th, continued November 18th, and December 9th, 2020. Now continued to the January meeting.
So in your packet were some comments, some suggested questions that I listed. The main change from the last time when this was presented was that the applicant did submit an operations and maintenance plan, which is attached and included in your mailing. We do have the applicant's engineer on the call, Mike Bennett, so he could maybe explain some of that. The main kind of concern is that there is still work that needs to occur on the property. They've sorted material, but they have not been able to remove it from the site. So maybe the commission, after hearing from the applicant's engineer, maybe could just decide whether or not you want to move forward with this, have a conditional approval contingent upon the property owner and the applicant maybe removing material by a certain date prior to the issuance of a permit. But I'll let you hear what they have to say first.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Mike Bennett. I'm a professional land surveyor with Bennett and Smilas Associates, 415 Killingworth Road, Higginham, Connecticut. I'd like to start out by saying that, Carrie, I just sent you an email a few minutes ago requesting a 65-day extension for the applications per your request. So if the commission were to grant that extension, then they could.
Yes, continue. That's great. Oh.
A conditional approval. So I just wanted to point that out first. I toured the site on Friday. Last Friday, the large pile of debris that they have there, they sorted it into separate piles. Now they have a pile of soil, a pile of stumps. They still have the wood chips there, and they also have a pile where they've stacked up some logs. So From what I can see on site, they still have to, remove the stumps, the wood chips, the trees, the logs, I should say, and other unsuitable debris. I will say I did not see piles of building materials or anything like that was there before. So they've cleaned some of it up. So my recommendation would be to I was hoping to have Mr. Maneri at this meeting. I'm not sure why he didn't log in, but my recommendation would be to either continue it to the next meeting with the request that they start moving the materials off the site, or immediately, or to approve the application subject to having all of the material moved from the site before that goes into effect. From my point of view, I think you would be better off continuing it and strongly suggest that they have to remove the materials immediately, because it's now sorted, it's in piles, it's easy to put in the truck and get out of there. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Well, I agree with you, Mike, we need to get this moving as soon as possible. We can't possibly approve this application, conditionally approve it, because we haven't really seen a lot of progress. So, but now, if you're requesting an extension, I'll let the other members speak, but that's a different story, to give them time, Mr. Maneri, time to start moving this stuff off. But we just need to see some progress. So I personally don't see how we could
get the material moved, or get a major portion of the material moved until your, I think it's February 2nd or February 3rd meeting.
We need to see some dramatic progress. So I'll let any of the agency members, please chime in and let's hear your thoughts. But
Yeah, Mr. Bennett, with all due respect, the end of January timeline was something that the applicant had actually asked for. It wasn't a timeline that we had imposed. And during each time that this site was inspected, there were things added rather than things subtracted. I personally don't even want to look at an application until that site is cleaned up, as they had promised. And that's my feeling. I feel like by the end of January, if they haven't really completed this, I feel like we should impose whatever penalties we possibly can, a complete condemnation, cease and desist, and daily fines for every day that it goes past the deadline.
I agree with Jerry.
That's my feeling.
I agree with Jerry. And Mr. Bennett, do you know why there's been such delay? We haven't even had a bad winter, so there's been no snow that's gotten in the way. Do you know why there's been delays?
I can't answer that. I'm sorry. I'm believe me, as frustrated as you are in the time length that it's taken for them to do that.
Because you haven't been able to go and do your job of marking out the areas yet either, right?
Correct. I need to get the piles out of the way, and I need to be able to have all the paved surfaces cleared off so that I can mark the container areas, once it's approved.
So Steve, I agree with Jerry. This has gone beyond our patience level and our continued cooperation, even though they have not been cooperating with us. And I would do full force of whatever we can impose now.
I know for a fact, and I think Kurt could back me up on this, that the town does have the ability to put a cease and desist and condemnation and impose fines on a site that is in violation of certain regulations. Am I right, Kurt?
I believe so.
So technically, when we discussed the time for them to do it, we did say right there in January, I'm pretty sure, so I mean, they had,
Yeah, even the beginning of
Yeah.
January, but yeah.
I can't remember the exact, but if we're saying that at the end of January, they have 11 days, if, Mr. Bennett, if you think they can do some dramatic improvement, which I don't really see that happening. I mean, but after that, you know, then we'll have to take whatever action that we need to take.
Maybe it's not happening for the same reasons that Mr. Minervi cannot bring himself to come to the meeting.
I mean, that's a good question. I don't think anyone can answer that.
No, I don't think it was a rhetorical question, but I totally lost patience with this whole thing.
For the record, I concur with my colleagues. I drive by that site at least weekly. And my concern is he's just moving the things around and maybe even moving them out of the wetlands. And he hasn't really done anything to get the piles out of there. I do have a question, though, regarding your notes, Carrie, regarding the address. Your first bullet, you said that it was addressed with Second Point Road. I didn't understand where that fell into place.
I was just noting that because it didn't line up. So in the operations and maintenance plan, it said that the site owner, they did change it on the revised one.
Oh, all right.
Originally the site owner was listed as having the incorrect address. It didn't match with the property card, was my only point. So one thing just to note is that there is an ongoing, kind of concurrent to the wetlands violations, there are zoning violations as well. So one suggestion is to have our zoning enforcement officer kind of pursue this as you know, kind of two enforcements as one, under one. We do have the town attorney looking at it as well. And maybe have a follow-up at the next meeting, which is February 24th. I'm not sure, Kurt, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, yeah, I tend to agree. Pursue both avenues. From the wetlands is already working on trying to get in action. Zoning can push forward on the enforcement action with the town attorney's office held. And then you see where it stands at the next meeting, and then there may be the need for the further wetlands action regarding the application and potentially the lack of cleanup by the time of the next meeting, and then pursue all options.
So, Gary, just a question, since you kind of heard the agency member, we all kind of agree that, you know, enough is enough. So, but like Kurt said, what should we do this evening? Should we, you know, table it till we get an update from the zoning enforcement officer? There's really not much we can do tonight. I mean,
Right.
we're not going to prove anything, obviously, but
Right.
is that what we can do? Should we just table it and then wait
that would
for
make
some more
sense.
information? Would that,
Yes.
Well, and then hopefully there's action
Right.
Right. Oh,
between then,
absolutely.
you know, now and the next
Absolutely.
meeting.
So right. You will know if things start moving and happening, and then at least maybe we see some progress. We can at least entertain the thought of maybe accepting the application. But right now,
Right.
so I don't know how the other agency members feel. I just asked Karen what would be the best, obviously the best process to this time. Does anyone have any other input? Would you have any problem waiting for the next meeting, waiting for an update, and then if things are moving, we can take a look at the application. If not, we can go through the fullest extent of whatever fines and punishments we can do. So anyone have any thoughts on that, or should we basically do what, kind of follow what Carrie has said? Is that, unless you have, has any other ideas?
Well, my thoughts are that since we gave them to the end of January, they have till the end of January to clean up the site. Starting on February 1st, we impose fines every day until the site is cleaned, and then we revisit it at our next meeting. That's my idea.
Okay. I mean, that sounds reasonable. I thought the same thing, at least give them to the end of January, since we did kind of agree on that. But after that, you're right, all bets are off. But there is 11 days, significant things can be done if they put their mind to it, but we won't know that until, like you said, February 1st.
But could you, I don't know if you can, you'd probably have to take an action. You're going to have to take an action. If you're going to table it or let them go to the end of January, what action starts something in February?
Right, you would, starting February 1st, there could be a site visit that could result in another cease and desist.
Okay.
The only thing I hate to bring it out, but it's just a reality. Carrie won't be here, and I'm trying to fill in. I don't know. A lot of special meetings is going to be a more difficult thing.
Right.
We can take certain actions. I'm just, like I said, I'm just being upfront. Whether you do it and bring it up at the next meeting, your normal February meeting, and then it could be prepared. If nothing's happened beforehand, I'd be able to document that and then talk to the town attorney and try to get ready for an action, including penalties at that point. It just, the February 1st meeting, it's going to be tight to try to coordinate that. I can just see that.
Like after February 1st, we could have the zoning enforcement officer go out and tell us the progress, and then report back to the town attorney. So before our next meeting, I know it's a little longer than we like, but at least we get some information of what could be going next.
You're lining up for potential action.
Right. Okay. That's.
I agree with that.
I'm okay with that then. So hearing what Carrie and Kurt have said, it might not be perfect, but it might be the best plan of action. Wait to the end of January, find out if anything gets done at all, and then have the town, zoning enforcement officer go out, check it, report back to the town, attorney, and to Kurt, and then by the time our next meeting, we could line up some kind of enforcement. I mean, I understand your point is well taken, Ashley, but I just don't know if we can do all that right now at this point.
That's fine, but Steve, we're having trouble hearing you because you fade since you're way in the back. So.
Sorry. Be louder. I'm sorry. You're right. I gotta.
Much better.
I never get accused of speaking too softly, so this is, I guess, must be the mask. So what I was saying, in light of what Kurt and Carrie had said, and in light of what Ashley said, which makes perfect sense in a normal world, seeing as how, there's not going to be Carrie won't be here as a resource, if we could wait to the end of January, have the zoning enforcement officer go out, say February 1st, and determine what's been done or not done, and at that point, make a report, which, that we can, I'm sure, report to Kurt, the town attorney. They can even email us on the progress, we don't necessarily have to have a special meeting, but by the time our next regularly scheduled meeting comes up, at least we'll have the information and options of what we can do next. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
So by February 24th, we'll have options ready to implement.
Yeah,
so
well,
like if we're going
yes.
to find because they haven't finished the site, we can find.
Right, and we'll be there and we can get the information of what can be done and what can't be done, and then we'll all be there, we can make a decision, hopefully.
And the action or the fines, for instance, if we were to impose them, couldn't begin until after the February 24th meeting, is that correct?
That we'd have to talk with the town attorney, but like Kurt said, I would agree that there would have to be an action, which would typically be a cease and desist issued. And a cease and desist could be issued by the zoning enforcement officer, you know, early February. And then the show cause hearing, you just have to time it. So, because the show cause hearing has to be 10 days after the issuance of the cease and desist. So, again, because of staffing concerns, if he issues a cease and desist, if things are bad, then he could issue it so that the hearing would be on February 24th.
All the time, so we don't
Right.
have another
Right.
meeting to worry about.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
In the meantime, hopefully Mike Bennett can convey the sentiment of the commission to the property owner, and that may spur him along, I would hope.
I will be texting him as soon as I leave this meeting and hopefully talk to him first thing tomorrow morning.
Well, that would be good, because we kind of passed the 2-minute warning. We're at the end of the game here, so if we only get a win out of this or whatever, you better take you seriously and start doing something, hopefully.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so then should we then make a motion to table it, and
Yes.
then everything that we discussed will fall into place?
Yes.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion to table this item?
Well, do we want to do a motion to table, or do we want to do a motion to table along with what we were just planning? That it's going to go forward to the planning zoning, or the zoning enforcement officer to inspect at the beginning of February, and then to report back whether something's been done to the attorney and to Kurt, and then go forward from there with a show of cause hearing if we need to.
Sounds like a perfect motion. There you go. Would anyone be willing to second that? Because that sums everything up.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion that Ashley proposed with all the details is approved. Okay, I guess we can move on.
Thank you for your time.
Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
thank you. So move on to item B, which is cease and desist at 1565 Middletown Avenue for unpermitted work in the Farm River resulting in 2 rock dams / barriers across portions of the river and removal of vegetation along the stream bank downstream from the vehicle bridge. Owner 1565 Middletown Avenue LLC, applicant Andy Bizzuto. Show cause hearing held on November 18, 2020. Cease and desist held in place. Discussion continued to December 9th, 2020. Now continued to the January meeting.
So I met with Andy Bizzuto on Tuesday, and he is in the process of filing something with DEP for his design for resolving the issues that Deep cited his violation. So I don't have anything. He was going to try and call into this, but I don't see him listed. So that's really the only update that I have. This is really in Deep's hands as far as resolving the notice of violation, and whenever Mr. Bizzuto submits something to Deep, then he'll also simultaneously have to submit something to Wetlands for any work that he is proposing to do to repair the area that needs to be fixed.
Okay, so then really, we should also table this when we get a motion to
Yes.
for the next meeting in lieu of getting more information either from Deep or from.
Yes, so just continue to
Oh,
the
continue.
24th, yeah.
All right, we need a motion to continue this item to the next regularly scheduled meeting in lieu of further information needed.
So moved.
All right, do we have a second?
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then this meeting, this item will also be continued at the next regularly scheduled meeting. Next is 5, new business. Item A, IWWA 2020-1, site plan for installation of roof leaders to connect existing septic system converted for stormwater runoff. installation of curtain drain on edge of parking lot, and stormwater overflow and curtain drain, which will be tied together and discharged into existing riprap adjacent to stream, all within the 100-foot wetland upland review at 67 Pawtucket Road. Owner 67 Pawtucket Road LLC, applicant Thomas A. Stevens and Associates.
Real quick, I'm trying to share my screen and it's post disabled.
Oh, okay. We can fix that.
You have to give up ownership.
Kurt's good at this.
Bear with me. Multiple is.
It's okay, Kurt, we've all had this learning curve.
So, just a quick introduction. So you all have the plans and the application before you. I'll let the applicant's engineer go through the details, but once they're done, then I can go through referrals. But one thing I just asked the commission to consider this evening is that they did file a complete application, but I think that if you're okay with it, this could possibly be handled through a duly authorized agent. But that's just something to think about while they're presenting.
Okay, is the commission ready to hear the presentation?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, good evening. My name is Chuck Mandel, agent for the applicant. It's 67 Pawtucket Road, LLC. It's with me tonight is Tony Balduck, my associate, and Ben Whalen is also here. He's going to be the builder.
Thank you.
This building was the former Silly Putty Factory, and all the existing infrastructure was approved around July '73. We looked for the actual approval minutes. We couldn't seem to find any. I don't know when the wetlands had started, but this might have been pre-wetlands. I'm not sure.
Oh, we've been out to the site a couple times.
Okay. The existing structure has a flat roof on the southern end, and the current owner is an HVAC company, Total Comfort Control. And what they're proposing is to construct a pitched roof to avoid the imminent collapse of the existing flat roof. This last snowfall proved very challenging. The builder had to go out there, shovel it, and make sure that, try to bolster it up as best he could. What we are proposing is to mitigate the stormwater runoff through an abandoned septic system. There is a letter we received from Cary on January 13th, and that was from the East Shore District Health, and they agreed with the stormwater plan. The building is currently served by public sewer. We're also proposing a curtain drain along the southern edge of the existing gravel parking lot due to the high groundwater in that area. If you look at the southern edge of the plan where the silt fence is, you can see there's a stream about 4 feet in elevation higher than the existing gravel lot. So that is introducing the groundwater into the parking lot. And certain times of the year, it's not only very wet, but it also gets icy during the winter months. So if there are any questions, I would certainly answer any of them. You can see there's an existing 2,500 gallon septic tank that we're going to be that's going to be totally cleaned and washed. That's a 2-compartment tank. So actually, any suspended solids from the roof will actually go into the first compartment, settle, and then it is baffled. It will go into the second compartment, and from there it goes into a distribution box and into the trenches. And when the trenches are full, it will go into a 6-inch diameter pipe that we will proposing to hook into the curtain drain and go into the existing riprap.
So there's no change to the building or the square footage. It's just for a pitched roof and a curtain drain.
Correct. Correct. And the pitched roof, flat roofs in this structure would be very difficult to maintain. So by putting some pitch on it, we can mitigate any danger of water collecting.
Well, when I first read the description of the application, I didn't realize that the site was serviced by sanitary sewer, and I'm thinking, how can you possibly put the roof runoff into the septic system and then have it run through the pipes and riprap and everything. But now that you've cleared that entirely up, I don't see a problem with this from my end. And I also don't see from our sidewalks out there, I don't have a problem with this at all.
I don't either.
Yeah, and I think this can be handled by the duly authorized agent also.
I agree.
I concur with that.
Yep.
I agree.
Hopefully that happens before the end of the month. But well,
No, the next couple
Week,
days.
end of the week.
We'll speed
I'll be
it up.
busy tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not always that easy.
So do we have a motion or for that? Is there anything you need to do? Or you're gonna?
So I guess
take
just
care of it?
real
Oh,
quick, yeah, so I
if you're gonna
can
handle it,
just
then that's
approve
fine.
it,
Yes, we
but
don't need
one,
to do anything. I just wanna make sure we don't miss anything. Just hold it up.
right,
But
so,
does it have to come back?
so it will have to, well.
we were
have-
hoping to get this work done prior to the next
Is there a
couple
way to
of
just get it over with?
So, right, so I think normally when I review something as a duly authorized agent,
Right.
then we put it on the agenda
For
to
the
let
next
you
one,
know
right.
the action that I took.
Right,
In this
right.
case, you'll know the action that I
Oh,
took
so we won't hold it up
was
then.
approval.
Gotcha.
So I won't
Okay,
have to
okay,
come back on the
okay.
agenda, that's a
Okay.
good question. It will still be advertised in the paper that this was the action that I took, so
But
we'll.
since it's been communicated to everyone,
Yes.
we can
Yes, so that's a
basically
good question.
give him the go-ahead because that's
Yes,
kind
so
of
this
what
won't
we
have
get
to come
done.
back on the agenda for
Okay.
the next meeting.
Very good.
One of the suggestions though is one of Kurt's comments, which the applicant talked about, is making sure that the septic system is totally cleaned out.
Right.
So I was gonna have that as a condition.
Yes, I think you need,
Okay.
we're here basically, we're
Right.
ready to do, which makes perfect sense to
Okay.
make it, work properly, sure.
Yes,
Yeah, we'll have that documented, we clean it.
Okay. Very
Okay.
good. Yeah, I mean, sounds
right. Okay.
good.
So just a motion that the application can be handled by the duly authorized agent.
Okay. We just, if someone would like to make a motion that this application be handled by our duly authorized agent, we just need a motion and a second, and we should be all set.
I'll make a motion that the application, IWA number 2021-1 can be handled by a duly authorized agent.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, very good. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, so then that will be taken care of by a duly authorized agent. Very good. Okay, so then next we'll be moving on to,
Okay.
under.
Thank you very much, Gary, and
Thank you.
Oh,
see you
you're
in
welcome.
essence.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Take care. Bye.
So now we'll move on to under item 6, Wetland Enforcement Officer's Report. Item A, which would be the discussion regarding the North Brantford High School project.
Okay, so,
I was wondering when this was coming in front of us.
this evening we have a representative, I believe, from the architecture team, is that correct, Ryan?
Yes,
Design team, okay. So I'll just kind of tee it up, Ryan, and then I'll let you go into some description. So with some anticipation, well, of my leaving, but also of this larger project, and there's multiple steps with such a big project where they have to have wetlands approval and planning and zoning. Obviously, as you know, with these larger projects, the first step is to know whether or not the project is significant. So Ryan asked if he could come to the commission this evening just to get an idea if the general project would be deemed significant or not, so that they can actually get going on their end of the work to do, again, if it's significant, make sure that it's a complete application, go through the entire process and have.
Well, I guess it's depending on where it's going to be relocated, because most of this site is wetlands.
Yes, so that's where I'll let Brian jump in and describe the general concept, I guess.
Yeah. So thank you. Just for the record, my name is Ryan Scritorel with Alfred Benishing Company. Address is 120 Hebron Avenue, Glastonbury, Connecticut. We're the civil engineers that have been hired to bring forth the new high school project. So I unfortunately don't have any plans that, except for existing conditions, but I can pretty well describe what's going on. Essentially, we were enlisted fairly recently to get going on this project, so we are underway with wetlands flagging, which has already been performed, and we are doing the survey right now. So unfortunately, I don't have like beautiful schematics for you guys just yet, showing you exactly what's going on and where the project's or where the building's going. But what I can do is describe for you how it's going to kind of play out, and maybe I can show you on an existing condition map if that works for you guys.
I did, Ryan, I provided each of the commission members with a GIS map of the high school.
Okay.
Just to show it, and I didn't know if you had any, if you want to share your screen, that's great, or I can just, we can share our screen with a GIS image.
GIS is fine. I mean, the big thing I was going to zoom in is really on the high school area where they have the kind of donut-shaped area with the courtyard in there, because that's primarily what's going to drive this conversation as to how this is going to play out, essentially. What we're planning on is the building is going to be done in a phased approach. So there's going to be the initial phase where we demolish a piece of what I'm going to call the courtyard area and section of the building. We're then going to build the first extension of the new high school while keeping the old high school active as part of some swing space and some ability to move students back and forth during the construction period. And then we would then be demolishing another section of the high school while bringing in the new section of it. Essentially, the building footprint is going to get incredibly smaller compared to what it is now. We're actually going up with more levels, according to the architect. We're going up with a little bit more stories on the building itself. We're basically putting it right where that little area with the courtyard is, and kind of to the south and east, kind of in line with the access road as it is right now that goes through the middle of the, between the auditorium and the high school. And then it'll kind of bend and kind of conform along the wetland boundaries going to the north. The reason why I wanted to talk to you guys was, as Carrie had mentioned, we are wanting to make sure that we are on the path of significant activity, which is what I pretty sure you guys are going to come to the resolution on tonight. There is a small finger of wetlands that kind of extends into the soccer fields area, and that area is actually a portion of wetlands that we're targeting to actually remove and relocate into another area adjacent to the larger wetlands. And there's a couple of reasons why we're actually planning to do that. One, there's been a lot of drainage concerns with the athletic fields and the school itself. There's a 54-inch RCP pipe that discharges at the north end of those wetlands. And then there's essentially a wetland channel that kind of brings it down to the larger retention area wetlands down to the south and east, kind of in the middle of the property. Our goal is to extend that 54-inch pipe and relocate.
Excuse me, what is it? Can you explain what that is? I don't know what an RCP pipe is.
It's a concrete pipe, reinforced concrete pipe.
Okay.
So it's essentially, there's a couple pockets of wetlands on the site, and they're kind of connected via a pipe system, a traditional pipe system.
What goes in those pipes?
Stormwater from the adjacent ponds and some
And
storm
runoff off the fields.
runoff from the fields, the northern wetlands that are to the north of the fields, and also some storm drainage from Caputo Road as well, along with some of the drainage from the high school. So you got a lot going on into that area of the wetlands, and what we'd like to do is extend the 54-inch pipe, remove that little finger of wetlands, and relocate it to a more appropriate area that we could then have a much more, vital wetland than just this little finger that's not really contributing to the overall goal of the wetland area.
Where possibly can that finger wetland be relocated when the rest of the area is already wetland?
We're looking at targeting the area to just the south of the baseball field, right past the home run area. There's a kind of a gap there where there's some space that we can actually relocate that past the fence line. So that's one area that we're looking at, but we have other options that we're trying to think of as we kind of go through. Like I said, I haven't gotten the full map of the newly flagged wetlands, so I haven't been able to really give you the full scope of where I'd like to locate them yet.
So when you were describing the footprint of the new building and taking down the quad first, or the diamond first, and then rebuilding. Are you rebuilding on the same footprint, or is it going to be larger in that area that it then goes towards that finger wetland that's behind it?
It actually goes towards to the south. So the what I'm calling the courtyard area, the goal is right now is to actually cut off a section of that. So not the entire area, but a section of it, because according to the architect, it's a good spot where it's a good break point for the actual structure itself, for them to actually cut in there and actually build off of that without disrupting the mechanicals and normal features of the actual high school, and we'll still be able to maintain the elevator shaft that's in the high school itself.
The footprint is going to move more towards the parking lot and more towards the driveway?
Correct, yep, more towards that way, and we are avoiding the wetlands themselves. So we were not going to be disrupting the wetlands with the new building footprint in that area. Really, in all aspects of this new building, we're avoiding the wetlands. And also with the new access drive that we're trying to put in on the east side of the building, which will be behind the building, we're going to be avoiding the wetlands pretty much totally. I know that Carrie and I had talked about doing several alternatives, just to give you guys an idea of how many options we've thought of throughout this process. And the architect and I have come up with several options that we had looked at prior to this option that we came up with prior to being selected. So I will be presenting those at the next hearing or meeting with you guys, along with the fully developed site plans and the stormwater mitigation throughout the property as well. I guess the big goal of tonight is just to kind of gauge your guys. What are your concerns that you want me to make sure I address as I move forward with design? And then also, I'd like to get out of a determination tonight, if we can, that you guys are under the same opinion I am, that it's going to be significant activities, considering we are going to be relocating some wetlands.
If the goal is to relocate that finger wetland that goes alongside the field and between the high school and the field, then yes, for my opinion, it constitutes a major process. But if your footprint is staying outside of the wetland, that doesn't bother me as much as the relocation of the wetlands. But if you're saying that there are structural problems with the current high school and with the proposed high school, with the wetlands being there so close to the back side of it, then yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah, there is stormwater issues and groundwater issues at the high school itself. More as you move kind of to the north, where the actual finger wetlands are. I believe and when we go to the next hearing, I'll make sure to bring the architect with me as well, because there's been reports in some of the basement rooms of some standing water. And you could, when you walk behind the high school, you can definitely see how that finger wetland is impacting the back part of the high school property itself, the building. I can probably dig up some photos next time I'm with you, just to kind of show you how that 54-inch RCP, as it discharges, what it does to that area surrounding in the back of the high school. And our main goal is to try to make these, not only just the high school, a nice dry high school, but also the fields themselves, try to alleviate some of the groundwater issues that are up in those athletic fields. So it's kind of a multi-pronged approach that we're trying to do. And unfortunately, that little finger of wetlands is one that could potentially serve itself better in a different location if we can.
Hey, Michelle, we graduated from North Branford. Did you know there was a basement? I didn't know there was a basement.
Actually, I do, and there used to be a small window that you could climb into, and
okay, don't give away
would go down there and play poker.
Yeah, don't give away those things.
We'll have to see if the poker room is in the plans. That's interesting. So Ryan, just a few comments. It sounds like, I think we all agree, because of the scope of the project and a lot of, even though you're making it sounds like you're making a concerted effort to not invade the current wetlands there, but there are a lot of drainage issues that are historical there. So for that reason, I think I would definitely agree. I think it's a significant activity, and I look forward to seeing how you address a lot of those issues, and like you said, you're gonna make some dramatic improvements to make it a better site, so, but that probably involves a lot of, a lot of engineering and workarounds, so from my point of view, I think I agree, I consider it significant activity, and I just think better to cover everything and come to our next meeting and maybe be pleasantly surprised that it's not as intense as we thought, but it has the potential to be, so that's my opinion.
Yeah, we have lots of work to do in the next upcoming weeks. We're supposed to get the survey back this week, so then it's full steam ahead, trying to get everything crammed in and figure out how to get all the hydraulics worked out. I mean, you guys, I'll go through the whole entire thing, but you have RCP pipes that are actually running underneath the existing building footprint right now that we have to address as well. So there's multiple outfalls going to that wetland area that we have to kind of work into, not only just making sure the stormwater gets there, but also making sure that it doesn't erode out the wetlands as we go into it. So there's a lot of thought that has to go into this project as we go forward. So.
Yep.
So Jerry and Frank, and also Ashley, how do you all feel about it? Do you agree it should be a significant, yes, or
I concur with you all are saying.
Okay.
I'm probably, just so you know, I'm probably the least familiar with the site. So I've only been in the high school the few times we did the environmental day program.
Well, Michelle can take you into the basement. I can show you around the rest of the school.
I don't know, it's safe.
I'm not going to tell you when we graduated, though.
No, that's all right. Well, that's even. I won't tell you when I graduated.
And for Commissioner Frank, just to let you know that as we move forward, the next meeting I will give a full presentation with mapping to kind of go through the process. It's just at this stage, I didn't feel comfortable showing you guys a proposed plan of any sort that could very well change. And I didn't want to get you guys leading down a path that you could misconstrue what's going to come down the road. So
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess at this point, we just need a motion, right,
Right. And I guess before you make a motion, just my 2 cents really quick is, Brian, the commission's definitely going to be very tough on making sure that the application is complete. So just, I know that you have a tight timeline, but it's better to hold off and submit for the March meeting if you can't have a complete application for the February meeting.
understood.
So, yeah.
Yes, because otherwise we'll just say, oh, I'm sorry, we're not listening.
I understand.
That's what happened before, but that we did not
Right.
get incomplete applications, but we just like to keep our string going here.
Well, and obviously with a significant activity, just to keep in mind the advertising, I guess.
Right.
That's another
so
key.
So our work to get that all squared away in time.
Right. Significant for public interest or significant for impact? And I think I just want the commission to clarify that. You're saying
Well,
significant?
I think it's both.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Because this one has a lot of parent support. It's got some against it. The tax-based people are against it. So I think it's a lot of public significance as well as wetlands impact.
Well, let's see, it's the, was it 500, is it?
Yes, I think it is. To look at the right.
I think it's abutters within 500 feet that
Notification.
get notifications.
And then the legal notice.
I'm sure there will be a lot of people in town because it'll be the first foray into it. And unfortunately, we're probably going to get people that, don't know anything about wetlands. They just want to go there and talk. So we're going to have to keep that under control, but that's okay.
So even when you submit everything, Ryan, if you submit it in February for the February 24th meeting, I believe that the agency would receive it at that February meeting, but then advertise after the fact and have the public hearing in March.
And I believe that's how we had talked about that.
Yes.
And then the public hearing would be opened in March and I would present at that point. So it's really just an acceptance at the February hearing.
Yes.
Oh, so really tonight we really don't have to do anything.
Well, I would
Or should we, what
just
do you think?
deem it significant. I think.
Okay, we should go for the record. Because I know
Yeah.
we're not officially
I think-
accepting it tonight.
Because they have to provide additional information, at least this way they know
Okay.
Just go ahead and do it, don't wait for it.
Yeah, that was the point of today. I wasn't expecting a formal vote on a significant activity considering we haven't formally submitted to you guys. You have nothing to really act on it.
Right.
I'm just trying to figure out how we should do this properly. I want to make sure that it goes on the record
So,
as significant
Do they need to make a motion?
I don't think they need to make a motion.
I don't think we need a motion.
There's a consensus that they're gonna have to do it.
So the consensus is basically that we all the agency members agree, unanimously that it should be moved is a significant activity. And that's how we'll look at it. So I think is that all we need to
Yes.
say then? Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay. Great.
All right, thank you, Ryan. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan.
We'll be seeing each other in the next month or so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
All right, then I guess we can move under item B. There's some applications approved by the dual authorization, so if you want to go over those. Carrie?
So there was one at 24 Edward Road. It was installation of a shed within 100 feet of a stream. I do have photos if you're interested in seeing them that I can share. It's within 40 feet of a stream, Edward Road. The lots are small, but it's all lawn area, which is where I didn't think that it was an issue. Would you like to see pictures?
You can email if you want to, but I have no problem.
Or I can share them.
For show, okay, sure.
Just do this quickly.
Yeah, since Kurt has to learn how to share.
Yeah, just a minute, I gotta remember,
It's like
You're moving
Give him as much training as
Oh.
possible.
we have to learn how to share
I
it.
do.
I don't know.
How did I do
I
that?
don't know. You're moving Jerry around though. It's pretty neat.
Jerry, do you feel that?
Go to
Yeah,
the
motion
folder.
sickness,
Yeah.
that's what we're doing
Over here, right?
Yep. And then the meeting. Oh, the video.
I do. Hit it again?
Oh, here. Maybe just hover over it. There you go. 24 Edward Road.
Ah, jeez.
What doesn't help when the tracking pad is.
Photos.
You're the best, I will pick up the wireless mouse.
Right.
They're so
That's true.
good, for my Chromebook, it's,
Then if you go to view, up at the top, just to rotate it first. View. Okay. And then go back to the zoom. Down at the bottom. Be an expert, Kurt.
So,
There you go, yep. And then go to share screen if you move the cursor, there you go. Yeah. And then,
Woo!
you did it.
all right, that's good for the year.
So you can click on that little arrow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Except now your picture is off the screen.
That's all right. We'll get ours, yeah.
That's it, there's only 2 pictures, right?
Or, yeah, 4 pages, I think. So, that one.
That's only what?
That just makes it smaller. Here, so do that little arrow again.
Right here?
Yep.
That's what I'm trying to do.
And then if you go up, see this one? So this is looking, my back is to Edward Road, looking towards the stream. They're proposing to put the shed, there's the stream. Let's click one more. They're proposing to put the shed to the left. If you can see this cursor, the hand, like behind, next to these bushes. Let me do one more. So it would be 40 feet, the stream is over here, 40 feet in, which is about, about here.
And how big is the shed?
Hold on, let me get the exact dimension. "12 by 12. And they're using on a 14 by 14 crushed stone pad.
Okay.
Can you see the wetlands application right now?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we do.
So this shows approximately where it would be located. So it would be 10 feet from the property line and 40 feet from the stream.
They're showing 14 by 14.
For the
That's
pad.
the crushed stone.
Oh, that's the pad, okay. Is there a significant elevation change between the shed and the stream? Not much
Not
at all.
significant. I mean, you know, it's like a sloping lawn.
Okay,
And, hold on, this one. You can see how it slopes down. So the stream is not level, at least when I was out there, it wasn't level with the grass. If it's flowing high, have you ever seen it overflow, Kurt, or?
It's right on the edge of the floodplain. That area historically, it was built in the 40s, and, they have some floodplain issues. I think by putting on that foot of crushed stone, it puts it above that level. Pretty much the best I could see from looking at the application. But that's Burrs Brook, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I didn't see an issue, especially given the existing lawn, but I wanted to make sure you all were okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, me too.
Fine.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Carrie.
Okay.
Okay, the next item would be under item C, which would be an update on Farm River Watershed Project.
So I talked with Frank to see if he'd be willing to be the representative since I'm leaving. So I believe there's a meeting next week,
Next
Frank?
week.
Okay.
It's next, hold on, next Wednesday morning.
Okay.
Good, put it on the retired guy.
That's right. They got
I
plenty
think he's
of time.
busier than all of us.
Actually, it's fun. Yep, that's fine.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Frank.
You're
So,
welcome.
yeah, that's ongoing. I think that it will be hopefully wrapped up and the report should be completed by this summer, I believe is the goal, Frank. I think that's correct. Maybe the fall. Obviously COVID had an impact on it, but it's moving forward. So that's really all I had on that one.
And Frank, Mr. Sharp, who always comes to our meetings, I'm sure he'll help you out too with this one.
Okay, great.
That's right. Thank you,
Thank you.
Ashley. I know. Greg is the.
Sorry, Mr. Sharp, I'm throwing you under the bus too.
I would have had Greg be the main point person, but not being on the commission yet,
I know.
right? We really,
I've tried several times to get him on.
I know. Well, and Frank, perfect person for it. So, anyway,
Thank you.
so going on to the next one, which is Cedar Lake Outlet Project. So this was discussed back in November, and you remember the representative from Triton was on the call, and they wanted to just get some information about doing some initial investigative work. They wanted me to clarify the motion because they wanted to just make sure it was 100% clear what they were hoping to do, and that they didn't need a survey. So the motion has been modified, and I can pull this up too on that. Or maybe, Kurt.
Give me a minute. Give me a minute.
Kurt's on it.
So essentially, they are saying that they don't need, what they found based on their investigative work is that there was a small area from between Twin Lakes and Lindsley Lake that had been diverted. So someone created a little ponding area, but there isn't a big blockage there. So that was good news. They also don't feel that the area between Cedar Lake and Twin Lakes Road, so the other side, needs to be surveyed. They feel that there doesn't need to be much improvements there. So they just wanted to clarify that it's not a significant activity and that they actually do not need a survey on the open area, open water channel portion of the subject area.
In other words, they don't want to have a public hearing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, well, but I thought you all had talked about having a public hearing based
Just
on
to fill in the
interest.
residents, yes.
Yes, so I think that's okay. Perfect. But you just have to now go to share screen.
So they weren't finding any blockage on the, let's see, east side of Twin Lakes Road with Cedar Lake running into, under the road into Lindsley?
That's where it is.
What's that?
It's on the east, it's on the east side of Twin Lakes Road,
They,
right?
Isn't Twin Lakes Road running east-west?
Okay, then the
sort
north
of-
side, whichever it is, but
Yeah.
from the smaller lake to the larger lake, there was a blockage that wasn't allowing the upper lake to drain. And so they weren't finding any blockage on that side of Twin Lakes. They
Right.
only found a diversion in the other side.
right, so what they've found, it's overgrown, but there's not one, area that just needs to be cleared out. If that makes sense.
So what's obstructing the flow?
Right.
They're saying that there's less of a channel than they originally thought. Well, no, he's saying the good news is that there's less channel than originally thought that would require upgrades, if at all. So it's really this diversion, and they, based on their preliminary analysis, they said that there's less work than they had originally anticipated. So I think it's clearing the area, making some, making it more channelized, because right now it's just overflowing, so it's not, I guess it's just backing
But
up.
isn't it like
It's in the channels,
vegetation is falling in,
Yes.
trees are falling across the
Just
channel?
clear the debris out.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, that was always my understanding of it.
Yes.
And sediment is probably
Yep.
filled in there, so
Yep.
it's basically cleaning out the channel.
Right,
Right.
it's a maintenance item on the
Right, it's
channel.
not really like a major excavation, it's just cleaning what,
Right, it's removing sediment in the channel, leading to the
restoring it
culverts.
basically to what it was before all the
Right.
debris was in there. Okay,
Right.
that I understand.
So you can see on the shared screen, the marked up, the track changes is where they just wanted to clarify that, again, the survey would not be required from the open water of Cedar Lake to Twin Lakes Road. Originally, they had talked about having a survey in that 25-foot area, but now they're saying no survey is needed, is what they're requesting anyway. And that the planned channel improvement work from Cedar Lake to Twin Lake Road and investigative work only downstream is not significant. And I just wanted to make sure to cite the sections. So if you're in agreement with that, if someone could read the motion, just to clarify, that would be helpful.
I'm okay with it.
Me too.
Then one of you read it.
I agree.
All right, I move to approve a request for a waiver from section 7.5, subsection 2, I guess, survey requirements, where survey can be limited to within 25 feet of either side of the center line of Cedar Lake drainage channel, and determine that the planned channel improvement work from Cedar Lake to Twin Lakes Road and investigative work only downstream of Twin Lakes Road is not significant per section 2.1 subsection BB of the regulations. I guess it's our regulations, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, of our regulations. Applicant, Town of North Brantford, agent Triton Environmental.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, and we vote on it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next item you can
Can you
deny.
send me a copy of that?
Yes, I will send you a copy.
Okay, thank you.
Don't hurt you, Kurt.
Yeah, I said the next item on the agenda, you can choose to deny. I've been pushing
I was
it.
gonna make a motion, I'd like to make a motion that we deny the resignation.
Yes, I second that. I triple it.
Triple, yeah, quadruple.
I just,
We'll tie her to her chair and not let her go home.
Item E is unconstitutional.
Oh, well,
You're making us sad, Carrie.
I'm sorry, I just put that on there just because it's a special meeting, I just wanted to make sure that you all understood. Oh, and I like your emoji face, actually. Just to understand, the process going forward, obviously, Kurt will fill in, but, we're limiting the, meetings when possible, I guess, and we know that we have the text amendment, which I feel like that's good to go. I think that the agency is fairly self-sufficient in that sense of,
Sure.
you have the regulations. Yeah. They've been sent to DEEP for their review, which is another reason why. So the meeting next week has been canceled. So they needed 35 days to review it. So DEEP has those regulations. They've been filed with the town clerk. There's a legal notice that will go in the paper, so that's all good to go. And again, the public hearing will be on February 24th for that. And how many public hearings you choose to have is up to you all.
I don't think it'll be that, isn't that any dramatic changes, but we just need to follow procedure. And hopefully people will respond to this by then, right? Or
Yes, I mean, I doubt that they will respond. I think it's just.
It doesn't matter anyway, we still can have our public hearing.
Correct.
It's a proceed. Okay.
Yes,
Got it.
yes. And then and I have a memo written out too, but once the regulations are adopted, then there's 10 days that you have to send them to DEEP, saying just adopted regulations.
That's written down?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Does Kurt have it all listed for him, ready to go?
That's what I was just checking on.
Right, don't you worry.
Because you're looking at Steve, and I'm like, Steve's nodding his head, but Steve won't follow up on this.
Steve was copied on the email to DEEP, but.
That's right, yeah, I still.
Carrie's exit memo will have it all in.
Yeah.
I know.
Right. My exit.
Okay, Carrie, what's the real reason why you're leaving us? This is your exit interview.
Oh, gosh. I had my exit interview today. No, it's just a different opportunity. So it was a tough decision, but it was, growth and development, so. But it was a tough one. You guys all are really great to work with and great
We
community.
wish you all the best.
Yes.
Thank
yes,
you.
All the best.
we do.
Thank you.
I'm glad you didn't say it was a conflict of interest with the IWWA members. That was good.
Yes.
Thank you.
We just want to make sure they didn't bribe you with like a couple of nice fancy pair of boots or kayaks, because we could have done something about that. So don't be tweeting us pictures if you see that.
Yeah, right,
I'm just kidding.
yeah,
I'm just joking.
I know.
I heard it was because Essex has a train and we don't have a trolley.
Free rides for life.
Will do.
Yeah, right.
That's probably right for Carrie or family.
Yeah, no.
Size-wise, is it comparable towns, Carrie?
It's about half the size of North Brantford, so yeah, it's
So
less.
you're downsizing?
Yes. I know.
A lot of wetlands
I
there,
know.
a lot of open land.
Well, there's the
right?
river.
The river,
Yeah.
right,
But that's
Right, the
it's
deep,
state, state regulated.
Yeah.
deep
So
review.
So now we know the real
Oh, that's
reason.
right, yeah.
The real reason is she wants more family time and we're taking up too much of her time.
Right, right. Hours are different, so yeah,
Hopefully the
9
meeting-
to 4 as opposed to, yeah.
Hopefully their meeting schedule isn't intense this year, because
Right.
that'd be a nice.
Well, right, still want
Perfect.
the wetlands, I believe, will be handled right now anyway by a consultant engineer. So
Oh,
that
okay.
may change a little bit,
Oh,
because this is a
okay.
new position, so we'll see how, so I'll be doing planning and zoning.
Mostly, okay.
Right,
Okay,
right.
that's good.
What's your official title?
Land use official,
Wow.
yes.
The one and only, right?
One and only, exactly.
Yeah, you do everything.
Yes.
That's always, the small town, that's always a difficult thing. You wear all hats, which
Right.
it is what it is.
Actually, the real reason she's resigning is that she got partnered with me on the stream survey. And I flogged her up the river from Reed's Gap Road to White Hollow. And she just figured, if this is part of the job, I'm out of here.
No, that was a
Oh,
highlight.
she enjoyed that.
That was great. Playing in the river, that was so much fun. Yeah.
But see, the water got inside her shoes and we haven't supplied her with proper boots.
Greg supplied the boots, so I was good.
Well,
Yeah.
we're going to miss you.
Thank you.
Yes, Carrie, very much so.
But
And it goes way beyond our committee.
definitely,
Thank you.
definitely.
All right, so that was, I think, everything that I.
That's it, all right. Then I guess sadly we need someone to make a motion to adjourn.
No, because if we do, then we lose Carrie.
Hey, well, can we filibuster all night then? Will that help?
To continue this meeting till next month.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Good luck, Carrie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Keep in touch.
Good luck, Gary.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you
Bye,
back later.
Good luck, Carrie.
Good
Be
luck.
well.
All right, so now Kurt and I get to end the meeting.